standard opening sort of game here.
Well, we are ready, so let's get into the game. It is going to be Radion as our first map. It's not really lagging for me, but in the top right, it looks like we did have XiaoShuai, and in the top left, we do have Zhanhun, and we do have Pylon coming down for him, and this is going to be a 9-gate opener.
Yeah, it's well, he's okay, and he's not scouting right away, right? So that's kind of the gateway posturing here, probably into a 9-gate. So, but XiaoShuai will be getting the first scout on it.
XiaoShuai's going to get lucky here, and it looks like Zhanhun's actually going to the bottom left. Now, I don't know if there's much thought into scouting pattern here. Am I going horizontal or vertical? But he's going to get unlucky here, and if he goes horizontal after the scout, he's going to find XiaoShuai last. Now, we know that this was a overpool, I think. So how does overpool face off versus 9-gate? Like, are you happy that you're running into that, or?
You know, kind of. I think it's like just like a good situation for ProToss, yeah, because 11 hatches actually can often be harder to play against, and the Zerg gets the eco. So I think if they're overpool, you know, you feel good. With the key thing though is to see if you get a last scout, which it looks like Zhanhun is going to get the last scout. There could be a situation in which you don't see did they make 4-lings or 6-lings, and that's where it can start to get dangerous.
I don't even know if this probe is going to get in. I wonder how many lings it will be. I've seen players overpool and go two lings, and to me, as a non-Zerg player, that doesn't make any sense. But it looked like it's 4, which seems to be the most common. And XiaoShuai not only gets his hatchery down without being punished, he's going to get his 3rd hatch down without being punished, and he keeps the probe outside of the base, and he also forces the Zealot to turn around.
Yeah, so, you know, last scout, it's tough. Not much you can do, but yeah, I mean, I think he needs to try and see, you know, he confirms the 3rd hatch, but it's important to get inside because if you can assume gas timing that the Zerg took, like, did they take a 3-minute gas or did they take like a 240 gas? It does make a difference. And so you could see here that now he'll be able to confirm, like, okay, this guy took a little bit later of a gas. Can start assuming like it's no all in. It's not going to be any shenanigans. So if I'm Zhanhun here, I'm feeling all right.
Well, this is interesting. He actually sent the Zealot out. There's a Zealot on the ramp with the probe. And, I mean, there's just a full gap between the gate and the egg. So I guess he's not too worried about being all in. Like you said, this was a 250 gas. By the way, where's that 100 gas going to go? Looks like it went into speed, actually. No lair. I don't think he spent 150 at his natural.
Yeah, and you're right about that. That was interesting. Like that brief moment, XiaoShuai had like 3 zealots like knocking on the door. He didn't even try to go in and see if the ramp was blocked. It could just simply be that Zhanhun knows like this guy doesn't try to do those things, and so maybe he's playing to that.
Well, Zhanhun is going to move out with those 2 zealots and then move this 3rd zealot into the 3rd base. And how is XiaoShuai gonna react here? The lair goes to probe. I think he's got his lair coming. Yeah, lair is coming, so no hydrogen anywhere. But he's gonna have to build a lot of lings just to deal with this single zealot because it's in the sweet spot, and he also obviously has to respect the follow-up zealots, which are getting higher and higher. He's at 4 already.
And no cannon. Now he's making his first cannon, which is, you know, it's kind of late actually to make it after the core. I think he's starting his Stargate already, so he made the cannon and the Stargate kind of at the same time. So Zhanhun cutting a couple corners here to get you know, a decent tech advantage going. But I think he feels safe. I think once again these are calculated risks. He got good scouting intel. He knew this guy didn't make too many Zerglings. He saw the gas timing. So I think Zhanhun's playing it really well, even with that late cannon he took.
That Stargate is about halfway done. Spire just now started. Zhanhun realized he was dark on the map, He immediately turns those 4 zealots around, and that was a smart move because they would have gotten surrounded by those lings. A preemptive second cannon for Zhanhun, but we see XiaoShuai is just powering off of this. There's no gas at the natural. I don't know if you would have gotten gas by now with mutas anyways, but it is something to point out that there is no gas there, so I'm expecting it to just be Scourge. 4th hatch coming down. 5th hatch should be coming down in just a moment.
Yeah, and what's interesting is, the Stargate, as you had pointed out earlier, was about halfway done when the Spire was going down. Usually in that situation, you should be able to get 1 Overlord and sometimes 2. And then I think some of these extra cannons, like the second extra cannon that Zhanhun made was around 520, 530. Pretty standard. Usually when you're unsure, that's a good timing to make it.
Your screen is lagging, but I can see the Chinese stream. Okay, now it's back. Actually, yours is still lagging.
Yeah, I'm just watching VLC.
All right, well, we've got Corsair attacking the Overlord, and Zealots are going to engage on the Zerglings. So I think there's enough Zealots here that the Zealots are going to win, in fact. And actually, XiaoShuai may be in a little bit of trouble because all he has right now is Lings. There's no mutas, at least not just yet. And if these Zealots have +1, I don't see how you stop this army. I mean, there's 8 Zealots here.
Yeah, I think he'll spam Zerglings now from all the hatcheries. He got the 1 Overlord, so that's good, standard as you'd expect. XiaoShuai was going into a pretty fast 3 gas here, so with Sunken, so I think his game plan is gonna be pretty heavy mutas initially into Hydras. The 3rd gas was kind of fast, and then he's making all these extra Sunkens too, so I'm curious what his game plan is going to be, actually.
Well, actually, he cleaned that up really easily. And now he has 6 hatch with big drone count. Look at that, big drone count. He took almost no losses. Didn't really even build much defense at all. So he's going to have massive econ versus the guy that built a lot of cannons in the beginning. You know, he built 3, so it cuts into his production. He's also building a lot of Corsairs. This really feels like a good spot to me. If I'm XiaoShuai, I'm curious where all that gas is going, because like you said, this is a fast 3 gas. He's got 1,200 banked. You would think it must be for mutas, but we haven't seen a single muta yet.
Yeah, and did you see all those drones? He made like another round of like 12 drones. I think, but it makes sense though, and I agree with you, Nyoken. This is a really good position for XiaoShuai. He cleaned up the Zealots, took no damage, and I think he's just going straight into 45 drone. Probably 45 drone into then probably start making units.
Ooh, that was an opportunity for him to get a lot of Overlords, but he thinks that there's actual Scourge or mutas out, and there actually weren't. Now they popped out, so maybe I was wrong, and maybe those Corsairs would have been intercepted, but this is going to be a ton of Mutalists. He's already built 7 or so. He's got Scourge coming. I'm worried for Zhanhun because that gateway count is not high. It's only 4 right now.
Yeah, but once the Zerg gets, he can repel the Zealots easily, and if he went this heavy gas and is only making 5 mutas with heavy Scourge, the massive impending Hydra switch is coming, and I worry for Zhanhun because he made a lot of defense for the mutas, and he made a lot of extra cannons in prep for the mutas too. So I feel like his tech is behind, and he may not be so equipped to fight the Hydra transition when it comes eventually.
Oh, that muta turnaround was instant. Got another probe. Oh my gosh, I didn't realize how many Scourge there actually are. There's a million Scourge just waiting to get rid of these Corsairs.
Yeah, and this is a tricky situation because if you go out too soon and your Corsairs get pummeled, then you kind of lost any air advantage. And I wouldn't even say that Zhanhun has an air advantage right now anyway. But if you make the bad move fighting out in the middle of the map with the Corsairs, it's over. So I think Zhanhun's just going to wait, and he should just defend. Usually makes sense. And now we see Zhanhun 3 cannons in the main, and I think he's fine. But if one bad engage with the Corsairs, it can turn the tide instantly.
Well, here we go. Corsairs, 8 of them. I think, are you looking for, I think 9's the number. Oh my gosh, maybe 8's the number. Okay, well, he got rid of 3 Corsairs, but that was a ton of Scourge to lose. I feel like that was still a worthwhile trade for Zerg, but did lose a lot there. Now, 110 to 114. Talk to me, Sugo. That's not ideal for Protoss, right?
It's not. Yeah, it's not good for toss. You feel like your back is up against the wall. Usually, when Zerg's supply is close to yours or when it exceeds it, it's usually not looking good for toss. I mean, and at this point in the game, we're approaching 11 plus minutes now. Usually, you'd want to see, like, is toss going to be posturing for the third? But I don't see Zhanhun even going for that, and he can't anyway because his army's pretty small. The mutas are just super oppressive right now, and he's not really been able to do anything against them. So I think the longer this goes on now, Zhanhun is falling behind, especially with no third, and XiaoShuai is even taking up his fourth base in the other corner as well.
Those mutas are looking for those Corsairs, not able to get them. Instead, they find the Zealots, but I don't think that's going to deal that much damage. The comp of XiaoShuai, or no, of Zhanhun, I must be missing something. There's no way he's playing Zealot only. Like, that's... Am I reading this correctly? Is it literally just Zealot Goon? Okay, there's the first Templar. How many other Templars are there, though?
He's just so gas poor right now because of all the extra Sares he's continuously had to make. And then, you know, it's just... You need so much gas in PvZ. If we looked also, Zhanhun had like 9 gates or something already. So he's kind of like, he is taking the third, but it's quite late. And his gate count was insanely high. He only has 1 Templar as well because he is so gas poor. I feel like an overwhelming number of Hydras can come in and really, really hurt him. He had 2 more at the natural, but they're not with the main army. So I'm worried for Zhanhun's third if XiaoShuai plans to make a move here.
Right, well, Zerg is banking up all those Hydras and Lurkers. And it looks like I'm actually ahead in the stream somehow, so I'm actually going to switch over to Zero's. Yes, I'm going to switch over to Zero's stream so that I'm not ahead. And we do have a massive move out from Zhanhun right now. Supplies are really close. Really, really close. But Zerg has an unreal amount of Hydralisk, and I just don't see that many storms available. What is it, 2 Templars? There goes one of them onto mutas, but he stormed his own Corsairs, man!
And there, I think Zhanhun lost about 3 Sares there. I mean, not a big hit, but the reality is, even these small skirmishes here with the mutas and the Corsairs and all that, it just gives XiaoShuai even another 10 seconds. Form an extra lurker here, like, get a better position here. And, you know, I think that's all XiaoShuai really wanted. And so now I would imagine he's going to start pressuring in because I think XiaoShuai must feel super comfortable. He's got like 55 plus drones at this point too. So here we go. Here's a nice attack. Really good storms. Got a nice 4 or 5 lurkers with just 2 storms alone. But the number of Hydras is so overwhelming, and he has got a pretty good sort of, you know, concave around Zhanhun's army. And he's not even using his full Hydra army right now.
I know, everything's dying, and it's not even the full army. There is just so many Hydras. The storms were really good also. Like, they hit a lot of Hydras, hit a lot of lurkers, and it still doesn't matter. The lurkers are now setting up for a contain, and Zhanhun, you got to get out of this contain, because once the lurker field gets into, like, you know, we're starting to look at like 9, 10 lurkers, you're not going to be getting out, especially when he doesn't have any storm. Instead, XiaoShuai's like, F all that, I'm ending the game. Third base is going to die, I think. I don't think the Goons and Zealots are going to hold this.
Yeah, I think we should see a GG coming up, and there it is. Man, that was... XiaoShuai's macro was intense. I mean, and if you recall, it was just the snowball effect. Like, Zhanhun went in with those like 7-8 Zealots at one point, and we're like, okay, XiaoShuai's got nothing. And he defended it with like a drone drill and 1 sunken. And then after that, he was like, all right, here, I'm going to make 30 drones. And it just compounded after that, man. It was sick, that macro.
Yeah, he really rushed his hatcheries really quickly, gave him massive eco, and like you said, the Zealot did no damage. So what can you really do after that? Also, What's funny is the Zealots scouted the 3 gas, so he's sitting there building all these Corsairs. And yes, he needed them, but with all that eco, he couldn't afford, or Protoss couldn't afford Storm because of that big commitment. And the killing move was the Hydras, not the Mutas. So Zhanhun kind of just got bamboozled that game. It was XiaoShuai's map pick, but we're gonna be going into Vermeer. Now I don't know what your opinion of Vermeer is, but I don't think Vermeer is any better for Protoss than Radion is.
It's kind of the same map in many regards. I mean, I guess the third base though, like at least there's 2 entrances just like Radion, but I feel like I don't know if the Zerg gets a good positioning like XiaoShuai got at the end there, and they cut off your main base or Nat, then same thing, your third's exposed. Yeah, it's like very similar map, right? These standard maps. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think Zhanhun just made that one mistake of like wasting those Zealots essentially. And as a Protoss player, we've all been there. You waste the Zealots, you think you're going to do something, when in fact, all you really needed to do was just poke in, try to gut the Zerg a little bit so they don't make, more drones. But if that fails, man, it snowballs and you just can't stop Zerg after that.
Yeah, so we are ready with game 2. Let's get into it. Zhanhun versus XiaoShuai on Vermeer. Okay, so in the bottom right, we do have our Zerg, which is XiaoShuai. And of course, in the top left, we've got Zhanhun. So we've got cross spawns. I mean, at least the rush distances are far for the Hydras will get across the map slower, but that just means that your Zealot harassment is also going to get across the map slower.
Yeah, and I wonder if XiaoShuai will actually try to go like 11 hat, for instance, here. Because he did overpool already, and even then I'm surprised with the overpool. But if he does overpool again, then it might just be something that these players know about each other. I don't know. I would like to see the 11 hat come out in a map like this, especially after you did overpool one game. So be curious, especially with someone like XiaoShuai who clearly has sick macro. And then it looks like Zhanhun this time is like, okay, I'm not going gate this time. I'm gonna go forge this time. So let's see. Who knows? It could be a 12 Nexus though.
I was just about to mention the Forge. I want to see the Forge simply because it seems like almost every game I watch is Gateway Expand. Now, I have no issue with Gateway Expand. In fact, I think it's the better build, but I do like to see a bit of variety. I wonder if this will actually be a 12 Nexus because the probe has not moved down to the natural just yet. It was an overpool once again, and you can 12 Nexus versus an overpool for sure. So if this is a 12 Nexus, it's going to be a great opener for Zhanhun, and it really does look like it's going to be.
Yeah, well, I mean, it is, and still, it can be close. I think, like, if XiaoShuai just streamlines the Lings right off the bat, just straight to Zhanhun, I think, like, the 2 Lings might be able to just squeak by. It's like a really close timing. It just depends how quick he streamlines it. But if he tries to like aim the probe or something, then Zhanhun's in the clear. But man, I think Zhanhun took a good gamble here, and it's gonna pay off.
This is an ideal opener for him. He's going to find XiaoShuai second, and I think this was 6 Lings. That looks like a 6 Ling. Oh, no, it's 4. Okay, so this isn't really going to do anything. It's not going to make Zhanhun panic build.
Oh, but he's going the wrong way, too, so that gives Zhanhun that extra... obviously, now Zhanhun would be fine, but that's what I was saying. Like, if he streamlines it directly to the toss base, it's like... It can be this, like, very, like, 1-2 second instance where Zerg can, like, get in 1 or 2 Lings into your main, but... Man, now XiaoShuai had the wrong read because the probe scout was so late, he was confused, and that's probably why he went upwards to start the scout with the Lings.
And this is the same opener that we saw on Radion. XiaoShuai went for the 3 hatch, 250 gas, and we'll see if he's going to do the same thing, which is just power, power, power. Last game he went speed first. I think he committed and saw that it was a Forge. And I'm going to assume that means he probably went lair, but I didn't see lair at natural or main, did you?
I have not, and I wonder though, from XiaoShuai's perspective, there's really no way to truly tell, like from his perspective right now, did Toss go 12 next? I guess maybe he could assume because the probe scout was so late. But yeah, I think XiaoShuai is just quite behind right now. I don't know. He did form the lair just now, but I don't know if Zhanhun saw that as he was just leaving.
Well, lair starting when Stargate starts, even I know that's not ideal. This is a massive build order advantage for Zhanhun right now. We talked about how many overlords he could have gotten last game. In the end, I don't think he really got any, but this game for sure, as long as he knows where the overlords are, he's going to rack up at least 2 kills. There's the Stargate. It's already halfway done.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's power of 12 next, man. Everything is so much faster. The gates will be faster. The timing attack will be faster. Everything's so much faster. And just for reference, like just to understand how fast this Stargate really is, the normal timing for the Stargate is like halfway done when the Zerg starts the Spire. So just like you said, the lair was just starting. So yeah, I mean, we could see 2-3 Overlord kills here. Sometimes the Zergs, if they feel this, they might make a Hydra Den real quick to repel those Corsairs. But I don't think XiaoShuai has that read right now.
Yeah, I don't think he knows what this is. Okay, maybe he does. He's gone Hydra Den. He's got a lair. He could actually do what? Like, he could get speed on his overlords. He could go for some type of 3-hatch Hydra play.
Wow, I guess XiaoShuai did have the read then, just from the initial probe scout. Unless XiaoShuai's plan is to get, you know, some sort of weird 3-hatch, like, you know, lurker play, something strange, right? But I think he just had the read, and this is gonna be good because I don't think Zhanhun's gonna really get that many overlords now. Maybe one or maybe one.
Yeah, with the he didn't even know if it was Corsair or not. Like, it could have been Citadel for all he knows, but he's got the Hydra up in time, and he only needs one to push it back. Templar Archive is already on the way also. Zhanhun's just crushing it. 4th and 5th hatch also coming down for XiaoShuai. And his drone count, from what I see, looks pretty good, but it's clearly not as good as it was last game.
Yeah, Zhanhun's probe count, I mean, 20 supply lead it's still pretty massive nonetheless. So I think as long as Zhanhun doesn't waste the Zealots, right? Like we saw in the prior game, he can really just keep this lead and just let it snowball a little bit for him.
Well, those Hydras have speed, so he's probably going to be doing something with them. Like, I don't think this is just going to be defensive Hydras. And the Corsairs, I think, saw that they have speed, so he knows that a 5-hatch Hydra man could be on the menu in the next couple minutes. I don't see a 6-hatch anywhere. I don't see an evolution chamber anywhere. So I think this is going to be a hard committal to try and just kill Zhanhun outright with this.
Yeah, this is tricky too, because sometimes Zergs have been doing this where they just like come with a massive Hydras. XiaoShuai can snipe the Forge, which it looks like, of course, he will. But, you know, Zhanhun already had +1, so it's not... I mean, it's a detriment, but it's nothing too bad, I suppose. And now, if that other DT does get in during this period, then it could be really dangerous, because this was what XiaoShuai was trying, but, man, he already had the Storms. And I think... And then the DT is in, too, so, man... Yeah, see, that was like that the infamous like 30 to 35 drone like Hydra YOLO all in that Zergs do sometimes, in hopes that the toss doesn't have the storm. But 12 next, man, you just have everything ready. It does not matter. So, yeah, interesting. I wonder if he did know it was 12 next or not. That is what I wonder.
Yeah, I don't know, because he didn't, like you said, he didn't really get to confirm anything. Everything looked...
does he have some read on Zhanhun? Like I'm just surprised where's the 11 hat at? So, but XiaoShuai, like he just wants to get into this rhythm, but I think XiaoShuai shouldn't also be underestimated. Like, oh, he's just a macro Zerg or something, because you saw what he did last game. Like, he's very capable. He will try to go for the kill. So these guys I think they're playing some mind games for sure.
I think so too, because I remember people mentioning XiaoShuai's best matchup was the EVP. They also mentioned how tricky he was, like how he would mute a switch at weird moments and catch you completely off guard, but we really haven't seen those mute switches. I mean, yes, game 1 was technically muted, but it wasn't a mute switch. So I'm waiting to see that part of XiaoShuai come out. I agree, I also want to see the 11 hatch, but some players just really like Overpool for whatever reason. I feel like I was talking to Machine about how Ziki plays Overpool, like, or non-pool almost every time. So maybe it's just his go-to, you know?
Yeah, I mean, it's safe, right? You get the 4 Lings out, and whether it's Zealot first or if they went Forge, it's not that big of a difference. So yeah, I get it. Maybe a stylistic thing for XiaoShuai, but yeah, I like it, man. Like, you see 1 gate into a 12 next by Zhanhun. So these players, they're thinking about the map, which game they want to do it, taking some risks. And that's where I think XiaoShuai now is probably thinking, man, this guy went 1 gate, then he went 12 next. Let's see what happens. But Zhanhun this time going, I don't know, is he going to pull the DeWalt lottery? Is he going to go 12 next again? That would be sick.
I would like the 12 next again. I think Apocalypse has really long rush distances, and right now XiaoShuai hasn't shown me anything that leads me to believe that he's going to 9 pool. He might, but until you show me that, or until you show me that you're going to do something other than an overpool, I would probably try it again, because 12 Nexus is just so good into that. And with this screen, we are ready. So let's get into game 1, or game 3, I mean. It is Apocalypse. Alright, in the bottom right, we do have XiaoShuai, and in the bottom left, we do have Zhanhun. And Overlord's gonna get lucky here and find Zhanhun first.
Yeah, let's see. I mean, 12 necks 2 times in a row in PvZ, that's like the Mega Millions, Nyoken. You just won the $1.2 billion, like, largest in history. So I would see if Zhanhun does that, but I think it might just be a gate opener as we see him just halting the probe here.
Okay, now I'm looking at this setup. You're the Protoss player here, but to me, this is like a double gate gap. Like, there's going to be a gap at the top, right? And then there's also going to be a gap between the gate and the forge. Is this normal?
No, like, he'll be able to block at the forge right underneath. It'll still, but yes, there'll still be like the wall, between the pylon and the forge. So it's like a 3 gap wall, I guess. So it's okay though. It's fine.
Okay, 3 gap wall. Need to get Gypsy in here. He's the walling expert. There was a game that we were watching together, and he was saying a certain setup was a complete wall, and there actually was 4 gaps. It was hilarious. It was a hilariously bad call. It wasn't even close. But yeah, 3 gaps. I mean, that's a big deal.
Yeah, definitely. And you learn something about this game every day, man. I watch and I'm like, man, I did not know that. So, but okay, we have Overpool again from XiaoShuai. He's not able to delay the hatch at all, and versus 1 gate opening, which he scouted first. So will he make 4 Lings again? XiaoShuai with the same opener every single game, basically. So
yeah, and the gate opener, we'll see if it can get any damage done. The first game, it didn't really do much at all. That's a drone already at top right, so he's setting up to take his 3rd base already. Maybe that probe can get over there and block it, but okay, I guess it will actually. It seems like it's going to get there in time. That block will be nice.
The 4 Lings again, but it seemed like the 3rd hatch was actually a little bit delayed, but was it intentionally delayed? Like, is he making more Lings behind this? I do wonder, because he had opportunity to take the hatchery. I wonder, did he make more Lings beyond the 4? We'll see once they pop out. But he's waiting for the minerals for the third hatch, so probably not.
Oh, well, this is an interesting scenario, just like in the Radeon game where he just walked his Zealot across the map despite knowing Lings were coming. This time he lets Lings in, and now we're going to have a micro battle. What's going to be stronger, the 3 Lings or the Probe plus the Zealot? So far, the Lings have the jump on that mineral line, but we're having an engagement on the right side at the same time.
Yeah, it's so like usually the general rule of thumb is sort of like 4 Lings per 1 Zealot, but it's different when the Probe is there, so you could, let's just call it 6 Lings, but I think XiaoShuai's fine. He even just picked off 1 Probe. He sees that the toss has not even started their gas yet either. And I don't think Zhanhun got any kills, if I'm not mistaken. So 3 Lings still in the base, and XiaoShuai probably got gas first too. I mean, Ling speed first. So if these Lings can stay alive up until his gas in the speed upgrade kicks in, it's dangerous, man. 3 Lings with speed in your base, that's tough.
I actually don't think he got any upgrade. I think what he just got was Lair, because I kept looking at that gas that he had, and the multiples of 8 didn't add up to,
okay. Interesting.
having used it. So, but I agree, if he did get speed, I mean, that would be a nuisance to deal with. And Zhanhun, for whatever reason, somehow knows, like, this guy doesn't have speed, so he's moving out once again with 3 Zealots this time, saying like, yeah, well, you'll get him eventually, Zealot. You deal with those 3 Lings. I'm just going to go move across the map with these 3 Zealots and try and end the game.
Yeah, but I feel like XiaoShuai got like, what, 3 probes in total now? That's pretty big. Okay, here's the fight. I think... Oh, but losing 1 Zealot right away... Yeah, this isn't going to really do much, and XiaoShuai is just prepared, man, and I think... XiaoShuai has taken no losses, where Zhanhun's lost 3 probes and maybe even a 4th one soon. So Eco is definitely being hurt by Zhanhun right now.
And these Lings in the main, like, they're full health. I haven't really seen them get hit at all. So they're just being able to get into the probe line with no fear of being taken down by a probe. Of course, as I say that, there goes one of them. Somehow that Zealot survived. I don't even know. I thought that the Lings would have beaten that Zealot. I guess he somehow avoided... Oh, it was another Zealot. Look, he's just rallying the gate. That's a new Zealot, and it just snuck into the natural.
It has 1 kill, so that's big. And then Spire, though, already down, and I'm sure it's at least half. Wow, another second drone about to go down? Okay, wow. This is big, because Zerg losing 3 drones is not the same as Toss losing 3 probes. It does not scale in the same way. So Zhanhun, did what he could. I thought he made the most of it, but still, I think that XiaoShuai is in a probably slightly better situation right now.
Well, his Spire timing compared to the Stargate this time is definitely nice. He does have a lot of Lings left over, so any future Zealot attacks, he doesn't have to worry about building any more Lings. He'll be fine. I think that is a second gate at his natural. The reason I say I think is I have seen some recent pro games where they do go double Stargate, but I think that's a little bit too late for that. However, Zhanhun is gas starved, but I think that's simply because the Lings have been running around, not because he spent another 150 gas on a Stargate. The first Corsair is out looking for some Overlords, but he may be greeted with a Scourge immediately. In fact, I think he needs to start running. Yeah, he didn't listen, man.
Oh, man, that hurts. Yeah, that he didn't listen to you. He should have been listening to you,
Yeah.
man. Because that was like, yeah, I mean, losing the first Corsair hurt so much, and then
for the Zerg, so it's not like all in. I think it's going to be upgrades with macro or with good econ behind it, but not too sure how this is going to work out for him unless he can somehow find the dream Overlord ball and just supply blocks him forever.
Yeah, I'm not sure why he decided to go 2 Stargates. I think he saw the second gas potentially, but then no speed on the Lings yet, so maybe he just thought like this guy's trying to conserve gas. He never actually saw the den either, I don't think. So when you see the second gas and no den, you kind of assume it's like heavy muta. So that could be the reason. And then XiaoShuai's den is like in a very obscure, like weird location, honestly.
Well, Zealots are on the move, and unfortunately, they need to not be on the move because, one, they don't have speed. Okay, now they have speed.
He didn't expect the same sort of. I don't know. Maybe he didn't expect the Hydras. I really think that was the situation.
Well, it looks like we are back, or at least partially back, as the stream is online, but game is lagged out, and this is a critical moment for Protoss because he's being hit with a massive wave of Hydras. Oh, it's over? Okay, well I'm gonna assume that the Hydras won the game and that the Corsairs, they don't hit ground, so they didn't win the game. But that's what I'm gonna expect. I didn't get to see the end. Obviously, you guys as the viewers, when you get here, you're not gonna know what happened either. So I'm gonna say XiaoShuai's up 2-1, and now we're gonna be going into our potentially final map, which is gonna be Citadel.
Yeah, and in that last game, like just to recap, because I know it was missed, but the Zealots were so out of position, and at Zhanhun's Nat, he only had like one cannon, I believe. So you could assume with the Zealots out of position, he kind of just went ham with the Hydras and just kind of finished it off because there was no storm and there was only one cannon. So pretty safe assumption there, Nyoken.
Yeah. Also, he had all those lings left over to buffer, so the Hydras weren't getting hit. I'm sure. The lings, it was just going to be a ling battle versus Zealot while the Hydras kill everything. So Zhanhun now on the ropes. He's going to be down 2-1. It will be back on his pick, Citadel. But so far, XiaoShuai has shown different styles. He's shown the low drone count Vermeer style. He showed the mute a big macro. He played kind of similar on Vermeer, but also with an evolution chamber, which was kind of weird. But at the same time, Zhanhun's been mixing it up. Also, we had Gate, Nexus first, 2 Stargates, all over the place. All the games today have been very weird in terms of openers. Like the only real standard game was the first one, which was the Gateway expand.
Yeah, I agree. It's funny you say that because even the PvPs we saw earlier on the winner side of the bracket were kind of strange sort of games and builds, and we're seeing that a little bit here too. So it's interesting as you get deep into the tournament run. It's kind of like you have to stick your hands deep into the bag of builds and get a little bit creative. And it seems like the players aren't just playing to their normal, builds or styles. Maybe I don't know, because it's interesting. And as we go into